Welcome to the Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. I'm so happy you found us. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-Fiber One News Radio, KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Well, good Friday morning to you. The Daybreak Show continues on and wraps up the week. Actually, it's wrapping up the month, and the weather has certainly made a bit of a change this morning as we bring in Spencer Hughes. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Woke up to a lot of crazy weather, though. Pouring down rain and thunder and lightning. And thought I time traveled.
I saw some lightning flashes. It was kind of bizarre, as you know. It's just been so hot the last couple of days. You don't really think about the rain coming in, but it certainly has, and a good start to the day, and helping to kind of hopefully tamp out any of those brush fires that we've been seeing around the region here. Today on the show, we got some good local news and conversation, a COVID update for you, information on schools around the South Sound, and some sports news with the Mariners on last night. Also, a lot of conversations.
Yes, Dr. Alex Apostle on the decision to start schools in the fall online. Doug Adamson from WSDOT on the scene at the state's first Diverging Diamond Interchange. And Jamie Mell talks about the still hot housing market.
Well, since the last release, Mason County Public Health notified of 6 additional county residents testing positive for COVID-19, bringing the total to 162 positive cases in the county. Public Health continuing contact interviews. Many positive cases are within the same family or multi-family households. 1 resident hospitalized within the county, 1 outside the county, and there are 56 active cases. If you're showing symptoms, early testing is encouraged. At the earliest signs of any symptoms, please reach out to the Respiratory Illness Triage line at 360-427-3615. They can assist you in scheduling an appointment at Mason Health's drive-through COVID-19 testing center.
As a $600 weekly bonus to those seeking unemployment benefits in Washington during the coronavirus pandemic expired, the state saw a slight dip in new weekly claims. To date, the state has paid more than $8.7 billion in benefits, 2/3 of which is federal money that's providing the unemployed with the additional $600 a week on top of the state's weekly maximum benefit of up to $790 per week. That $600 weekly bonus technically set to expire today, but the cutoff was effectively last Saturday owing to how states process payments. Congress has not been able to reach agreement on an extension. The Democratic U.S. House wanting to continue the weekly boost at the same amount, and the Republican Senate proposing to scale back the extra aid.
Shelton Schools this week at their online board meeting decided to hold all classes online this fall. School board approved the plan. Dr. Apostle again on the air with us today to talk about this and the safety of students and family as priority. There was a community forum last night. You can find the links to that on their website at sheltonschools.org. First day of school is September 2nd. North Mason schools also starting online, and yesterday the Thurston County Health Officer recommended that all Thurston County schools start the year remotely. Some of the districts have already made that decision. We're in talks with Dr. Apostle about a Facebook Live town hall question and answer session sometime in the middle of August, in the middle of the day. We're likely to sit down with him and another representative from the school district to talk about the upcoming school year, which will be a couple weeks from then, as well as be able to answer your questions that you post on Facebook. So we're getting the details of that figured out, but likely to have that the middle of August here coming up in just a few weeks.
Jose Marmolejos and Shed Long Jr. homered. Marco Gonzalez pitched into the 7th inning, and the Seattle Mariners beat the Los Angeles Angels 8-5 last night. Marmolejos hit his first big league homer, 3-run shot in the first. Long Jr. led off a 5-run 9th inning by hitting Hansel Robles' fastball over the wall and right. Shohei Ohtani hit a 3-run homer in the Angels' 9th.
And the Mariners finally have their home opener tonight here on the radio, 5:30 pregame. Oakland is in town for 4 games and then LA will be here later on next week. The Mariners are on the air, AM 1030 and FM 103.3, 5:30 pregame here tonight. Again on the show this morning, lots of great conversation. Dr. Apostle from the Shelton Schools, Doug Adamson from WSDOT, talking about the state's first diverging diamond interchange, and Jamie Mell has some riveting radio real estate. That housing market is still hot, hot, hot. More Daybreak Show coming up.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes on the Daybreak Show. Friday mornings, we have the chance to check in with Dr. Alex Apostle from the Shelton School District. He's the superintendent, and it's been a week of decisions made. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Jeff. Great to be here with you.
We saw that you had your meeting a couple days back on the 28th where the school board and you guys talked it over and decided to go 100% online for the fall. Talk to me a little bit about how that decision came about. I know that you had the subcommittees and they had been making recommendations, but when it finally came down to the time for the school board and you to make a final decision, how was that discussion?
Well, we spent a lot of time prior to that board meeting and study sessions and meetings with many, many different people to get their opinion. And, reality finally set in terms of the COVID-19 virus. It's very unpredictable. It knows no boundaries. It's very dynamic. And right now across the country and even in our own county, we're seeing increases in the pandemic. So, the subcommittees, over 200 people, I've said this many times and it's accurate. Over 200 people participated at some point in developing the plan to not only support online learning, but to support a hybrid model or a traditional model. And that report is online, 50 some pages long, along with the plan that I recommended and the board approved on Tuesday, July 28th. But it took a lot of time and a lot of thought. And, unfortunately, there's no 100% right answer to the predicament that we're in. But our plan and our work is based on two principles. Number one, and we really mean it in Shelton, is the health and safety of our kids and our families and our staff. That's number one in terms of this whole effort. And number two, the way we described it and the way we're going to move forward with the actual plan of 100% online learning is that there's going to be circumstances and challenges for our families that the school will be arm in arm with those families. And, if people have situations that prohibit them from making this thing work, we're going to jump in and we're going to do everything possible in a safe manner to help them. And my direction to principals has been and will continue to be to reach out, number one, to find out which families, which students need help, and within our power, we're going to do everything we can to make that right. That may mean bringing some of those kids to school in the evening, during the day, and emphasizing safety protocols in terms of wearing masks, in terms of social distancing. But all our schools will be available to do those protocols. But we're not going to let people just hang out there in terms of their situation. We believe that we're moving in the right direction in terms of having 100% online teaching and learning, but and that's for right now. I mean, things could change and we could go to a hybrid model, and maybe sometime soon we can go to somewhat of a traditional model where all kids are coming back to school in some fashion. But we're going to monitor things very closely. Every 2 weeks, we're going to survey our parents. Every 2 weeks, I'm going to monitor everything to make sure that the online model is the one that we should be using. But at the same time, we're going to be reaching out to our families and making sure that we're doing everything we can to support them. And people have my word on that one. And so, again, my direction to to principals and to staff is that we need to reach out and do everything we can to help our parents and connect with our students. And we've got to do much better than we did in the spring. And I believe we have a program now that will be much, much better. And to be quite honest, I have tremendous faith in our staff to do exactly what I've just said.
The program you're talking about is this K-12, educational piece to this. So when the teachers are working through this curriculum, it mirrors the online model. Do you know, where will the teachers be in the fall?
Well, that's something we're going to discuss with our unions. Some teachers may feel comfortable using safety protocols to be in the classroom and where they can use technology and so on if they don't have it, or there's a problem with the technology that they use at home. There's no black and white answer to all of these things. Great organizations flex.
Yeah.
And it's not this way or the highway. It's basically, we're going to do whatever it takes for our teachers and for our kids and for our families to make this thing work until something lets up here. But I just want the community to know that this is the safest thing that we could do for our kids and for them and for our staff. When we say the health and safety in Shelton is a number one priority, and I've said that many, many times over the past 5 years, I meant it. And there might be people out there that are very unhappy, but we would be very unhappy if we lost a staff member or a student due to this pandemic.
Yeah,
and that's happening, by the way, all over the country. And this pandemic, again, knows no boundaries.
No.
And so we could be dealing with something much, much worse in a very short period of time. And quite frankly, my recommendation to the board, and I'm very happy the board approved it, is basically saying we're not going to take any chances to have someone die over this pandemic. We're going to do everything we can to stay safe, and yet at the same time be reaching out through online learning and support systems to do the very best we can for our students. We all want to go back to what we knew, but I can tell you, I don't think we're ever going to go back to the traditional model that we experienced 6 months ago.
Right.
The world has changed. Business has changed. Medicine has changed. Schools have changed. It's a different world. And in some ways, it has a silver lining because it's pushing public education into the 21st century. And the way people learn and the way people teach is going to be different. And it must be different to meet the needs of our students in the 21st century.
You mentioned the kind of the numbers in Mason County and across the country. They have, over the last 2 weeks, the numbers coming into the Mason County COVID numbers have really gone up a lot. Do you think that changed any minds about making sure that this was 100% online? I guess the other part of this question would be, if you were to make this decision a few weeks ago when we were seeing just one additional case or two additional case, but over the last so many days, we've seen 20 number days, 12 number days, 14 number days. Do you think that had any thought process with the school board?
Oh, I think so. But, we were always concerned about this pandemic from the get-go. We're talking about people's lives here, young people's lives. And, this is a time when you just can't hurry in and do it and make things happen just because you feel it's the right thing to do. The right thing to do is to preserve life and the health of our people. And that's exactly what the Shelton School District has done, and we will continue to do. I'm hoping that the virus subsides and we can move to stage 2 and to some extent maybe stage 3. But until if it stays the way it is right now, people understand this is very dangerous. And some people may have a different perspective and a different philosophy on what's going on politically or otherwise. But as the superintendent of the Shelton School District, I've got to protect our kids. I've got to protect our staff. And when I see science telling me this is happening, I've got to react in a way that preserves our people. And so that's where I'm at on that. And I believe I'm absolutely right.
It was kind of really telling to me when I was listening to some teachers or parents from across the country, and it had popped up a couple different times, and each time it really kind of startles you into the reality of what's happening. And, people are saying we don't want to have pages in our yearbook of those we had lost. And
right.
when I heard that, a page dedicated to staff and perhaps students, I mean, that when I heard that, it was something I hadn't thought of, and it was quite eye-opening.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing, and we can look over the data and not pay attention to it, but we're not doing that.
Yeah.
I talked to Dr. Stein about our health officer in Mason County, and he supported us 100% to go online. And I figure he knows a lot more than I do in terms of what's going on in the medical world and what's happening with COVID-19. But and then we had a lot of support.
Yeah.
To be quite frank, we all had almost 100% of our, well, I would say at least 95% of the people that served on committees that were asked the question, would you support going online? They said absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, again, I feel bad for the situations that our parents are finding themselves in. But what I'm saying is that the school district will work with you. We will come in and do what's necessary to make this thing work for you. We're not just going to say we're going to go online and then forget about our parents and the situations and the challenges that they're dealing with. We're there for you. And you're going to see what's going to happen here. In the month of August, this was the ultimate plan anyway. The month of July, we were going to put the plan together. We've done that. Now the month of August and even beyond that, we're going to be fine-tuning the support for our families and fine-tuning online learning. So we're very serious, and we're serious to win this thing. There's no losing. And so I'm going to be tomorrow at 10 o'clock, I'm going to be having a Zoom meeting with all staff. And we're going to talk about how we approach this new plan. And it's going to be with vigor. And it's going to be with determination and consistency and caring. We need to do our very, very best work right now, every one of us. And so we're going to move forward. There's nothing that's perfect in this world, but together we can do extremely well, and we're going to.
It's going to be a fast month, and there will be deadlines for parents and staff and everybody to get information in, I'm sure. So we'll make sure we get that information to the listeners so they can understand where possible pickups of things may be, Chromebooks
Sure.
and stuff like that. And as we continue to move on, we'll get the word out there. Dr. Alex Apostle from the Shelton School District on Fridays here, checking in with things going on. Good to talk with you, and we will talk next week into August.
Jeff,
and
can I say one thing?
Please, go ahead.
It's very easy right now to be critical and to pick things apart and to stand on the sidelines and again, be critical. But this is not a time for that.
Right.
This is a time for everybody to come together and have empathy for one another and move together to do the very best for our kids. That's what it's all about.
Well said. Well said. Dr. Apostle, be safe, be well, and we'll check in soon.
Thanks, Jeff. Take care.
You're listening to Daybreak on I-Fiber One News Radio.
Good morning, everybody. It's Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes on the Daybreak Show. It is time to check in with Jamie Mell from John L. Scott Real Estate in Shelton. Find out what's going on and get some riveting radio real estate. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am well. It's nice to talk with you. And we have seen over the summer continuing great listings and great houses going under contract. It is, other than everything else, it'd be hard to tell you're in a pandemic with the way these homes are selling. It's amazing.
It's absolutely amazing. looking at our inventory levels, we're still really low as far as how many homes we have on the market and available, which has created that frenzy market for people, for buyers. So we're going under contract so quickly on any new listing that we put onto the market. I was looking at stats this morning, and really quick, 30% of the homes in a normal market, 30% of the homes going under contract in the first 30 days, that's a standard. That's like a normal market. Right now, we're anywhere between 65 to 75% of those homes going pending within the first 30 days. So it's a frenzy market.
Are people not even really looking at these homes? I mean, do they get a notification from you or from John L. Scott Shelton that, ding, this new house in this location with this many beds is now on the market, and it's like that? They jump on it right away? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, multiple listings or multiple showings, multiple offers very quickly. And it really comes down to technology because, again, like you said, these buyers are getting instant notification that these homes are coming on the market, and they're on it. I mean, as long as they've been working with an agent and have all their ducks in a row, these people are putting in offers pre-approved and ready to go.
So let's talk about then what both sides should be ready to work at a more rapid pace. What does the seller and their realtor need to have ready to go to make this as a smooth process as possible? And then we'll do the other side.
Yep. So as far as a seller being ready, obviously it's getting their home ready, market ready day one, so that when they're on, they're ready, that they're flexible with showings, that they're flexible with getting their inspections scheduled once they agree to an offer. And then things like if it's on a septic, getting that done, getting that approved so that there's no big scary things that might pop up as we go along with the transaction. And then really figuring out in this market, where is the seller planning on going? Is the seller going to be buying somewhere else? Are they relocating? What kind of turnaround do they need for closing? Are they going to be asking for an extended closing because they need time to find a house after theirs sells? Or are they going to be doing potentially like a rent back from a potential buyer too? So those are some things for the sellers to be discussing with their agent when they're getting ready to go active.
So a rent back, that would be if the other person's house isn't ready yet. You make an agreement that says, well, we're going to stay here for another month or something, and then they leave? Or what is that? I guess I've never heard that one.
Yeah. So again, like maybe if the seller is contingent on purchasing another home and they need some time to either wait for that transaction to close, whether they need time to move, so they can work out an agreement with their buyer that says, hey, for X amount of dollars, potentially, we would like to stay at this home for an extra few weeks or a month. And so, the buyer's not going to technically get physical possession of the property for a little while, but really in this market, we have to kind of be creative because as a seller trying to do the move up thing or even the move down in the market, just downsizing, they have to be very competitive in order to get a contingent offer accepted. So that's where we're looking at, okay, we're going to, right from the get-go, we're going to be advertising that we either need a longer closing date or we need the rent back so that they still have a house to live in while they're finishing up on their end of the transaction with their next purchase.
And then for the buyer, I mean, they have what I would assume they've already have their pre-approval letters from their lending institutions, and that's ready to go. Is there a lot more that they would have to do other than just really be on calling the inspector and doing and that?
Yeah, what we're seeing right now is, the buyers are being pre-approved. And if you're a listing agent and you are receiving an offer, it's not abnormal to be getting a call from that lender the moment that you've accepted that offer, and the lender, or even received the offer, lenders are calling the agents and saying, hey, I've got this client. They're going to send you an offer. They're fantastic. They're pre-approved. They're this, they're that. So the lenders have been doing a really good job of, adding to the case for the buyer's offer to be accepted. And then buyers are going to need to just be knowing that in order to package their offer to be accepted and to be attractive to a seller, they're going to need to do a few things. And that's where having that buyer agent consult where they can talk about what works for the buyer and what makes a strong offer. And some of the things that we're seeing in this market are, increased earnest money. If we can get a shorter closing period as well as inspection periods, it's never a great idea to have a buyer waive an inspection contingency, but we're seeing a lot of reduced. Normally you get a 10-day inspection, and we're seeing anything from 3 to 7 days. So,
well, very cool. If you're in Shelton, if you're anywhere, you go to John L. Scott, you look up Jamie Mell, John L. Scott Shelton. She will work very hard for you and get you the house you need or sell that house that you need sold. The phone numbers for everybody?
360-426-3319 or go to johnlscott.com, and we're happy to help you guys. Thank you.
Looks good. I walked by the office the other day. Things are looking good, of course. That frontage is beautiful in downtown Shelton on Railroad. Jamie, good to see you. Be safe. Be well.
Nice to see you.
We'll check in before too long.
From the iFiber One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey on the Daybreak Show, and I have via Zoom video conference live on the scene from the Washington State Department of Transportation spokesman Doug Adamson. Doug, we've had you on the air over the years talking about things, but I don't think I've ever had you on the air quite like this. How are you doing, sir?
Well, actually, I am smiling right now, believe it or not, because it's hard to tell. We have to adapt because of COVID, and everyone is adapting as well, and road construction is the same way, so we have a pretty stringent protocol and have to stay 6 feet apart in many areas and wear masks. But we're getting a lot of work done out here in Lacey, and it's really a big change for this overpass where we're going to be closing it down and then opening up after a weekend on Monday, August 3rd. And basically, as construction continues, and unfortunately the congestion will continue for a while too, we're going to change the traffic pattern from a traditional diamond interchange to a diverging diamond interchange. What's that? Well, it's an efficient way to get people across an overpass. And the nice thing about that is there's nothing new for you to learn on it. You come up to a stoplight, you stop. When you come up and you see the signs and lines, you follow them. It's pretty intuitive. While this is the first one in the state of Washington, they're all over the country. In fact, business travelers will tell you, oh, I've been on one in Texas. I've been on one in Missouri. No big deal.
So talk to me a little bit about how I-5 at State Route 510 became the location for this.
So Lacey, north of that area, is really one of the last undeveloped stretches of undeveloped land in Interstate 5 in the Puget Sound region. And Lacey has big plans for this area. I've heard upwards of 15 to 20,000 new people in that area. And that existing overpass just would not handle that much travel. So what we did is, this is one of those examples where we're able to get ahead of the curve and build these improvements. And when we open up to Diverging Diamond Interchange and get through the construction, it'll allow Lacey to do what they want to do and really be a big win for that community here in Hawks Prairie, adjoining Nisqually. But really, a Diverging Diamond Interchange, and it's also a money saver. We didn't have to go out and tear down this interchange and put up a new one. We widened it by 11 feet. We changed the traffic pattern on it, and we used the existing bridge. So it's really a win-win. It's good for the community, but it also at the same time it's easier on the pocketbook too.
What does it seem like for traffic flow now? I mean, obviously, it won't be the same as Monday morning when some of the cones will be gone and they'll be in the traffic, which I'm assuming is a lot less nowadays because of COVID. That's got to be helpful for the workers too. How will it look Monday morning?
Yeah, so on Monday morning, we will open at the Diverging Diamond Interchange. But remember, the construction isn't done. In fact, it's going to be about a month of restricted lanes through there. So we're seeing reduced lanes through here right now, trying to get the work done. In fact, what I was panning to earlier, we have that southbound Marvin coming from Jubilee down to I-5. One of the lanes is neck down right now. So these hardworking people out here right now to be able to get that work done. We're going to continue to do that. So the bottom line is it will be in a new traffic configuration. However, we'll keep people moving through the entire time, and we have a lot of work to go. So if you want to go head through this area, it's open. Come Monday morning, just give yourself a bit of extra time because of congestion. And like the old construction signs always say, pardon our dust.
That's right. That's right. Well, too bad it couldn't have been a couple months down the road. You could have stopped off at the Chick-fil-A there for lunch, huh?
Well, this is an incredibly busy place. We've got the Target Distribution Center just to the north of us, other distribution centers, large communities, a lot of businesses, a lot of people from Shelton know this area very, very well. But the nice thing is, if you come over from Mason County for Diverging Diamond Interchange, for drivers, there's nothing new to learn. You come up to a stoplight, you stop.
It's the first one in the state, and Doug Adamson is on the scene for us talking about it here this morning on the show. Doug, we appreciate the time you're able to do this for us, and we'll get the links to the more information on this for folks if they want to see that. Doug Adamson from State DOT, nice to see you. Good to see you're safe and healthy, and thanks for being on scene for me.
Yeah, we appreciate the coverage, and thanks for everything you do, and we just hope everyone stays healthy. And you know, a lot of people are pivoting right now and doing what they can to take care of themselves, and we're doing what we can so people can get going throughout the day and do what they need to do.
Doug, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to today's Daybreak with Jeff Slakey podcast. Again, I'm so happy and honored you found us and chose to listen. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this with your circle of influence. It's a collection of some of the interviews, news, and conversation during Daybreak with Jeff Slakey on I-Fiber One News Radio KMAS, weekdays from 6 to 9. Thank you so much again, and talk with you next time.